So I recently got invited to speak at a cybersecurity conference. So I got to fly out to Texas, and the airport by me is really teeny tiny. And there's only one option. I can go to Detroit, and generally the only option is first thing in the morning, which is not a bad thing, especially like this time of year. It's really pretty. You get to see the sunrise and stuff as you kind of come into Detroit. I really had to laugh at this one where I flew from New York to Texas, and in Texas, they handed me a rental car that was from New York. So everything went awesome with the conference. I got to see some of my coworkers, which is awesome because we don't get to see each other a lot. And the presentation went super well. Everybody said that it was really good, which was awesome. And then coming back Friday, because I have that small little airport to deal with, I couldn't get a flight until later. Because the flight back wasn't gonna be till a lot later. So I had some time to kill, so I was looking for something near the DFW airport, and when I was kinda searching for things, this Sea Life place came up, so I thought I'd give it a try and kinda drove over. It was a little bit odd to me because, like, the first thing I noticed is, like, it's a big mall, it's not like a standalone aquarium. On my way walking in, I saw that they had a nice little pollinator garden out back. And I was kinda pleased with that 'cause I like to do a lot of pollinator stuff myself, so it was really nice to see that they made the effort, even though they didn't really have to, like, everything else that they have is indoors, they don't have any outdoor facilities, yet they just had this on the outside to kinda support pollinators in the area. When I walked in, I saw there was a whole bunch of other stuff, including Legoland, but I did decide that I thought it was a little bit old for Legoland. I've never been to one though, so it kinda gets the kid in me going a little bit, but I ended up not stopping, and then there was something else that looked like a lot of fun, but I figured I'd probably get hurt, and I didn't wanna try to get hurt just before the plane ride, so I decided to just stick with the aquarium this was one of my favorite, exhibits, I think, was the sea turtle, and they had feedings and stuff of the sea turtle and some of the other animals and stuff there, and they were just talking about, like, all their preferences and kinda what happened and why they were actually that like, why like, the sea turtle, like, why it was actually there in the aquarium and couldn't be out in the ocean. It had been hit by a propeller and it was gonna have it had mobility problems and couldn't survive out there. So it's kinda good to kinda hear that and just see how much the staff really cared for their animals. They had quite a few tanks with lots of different types of fish. Some of the tanks were a pretty decent size, but those were it was mostly like the standard type of fish that you'd see in most aquariums and a lot of times even in, like, the fish trade. When I first walked in, there was a giant it was mostly stingrays. They sorta had there was a few sharks in there, but it was mostly stingrays, and it was just a nice circle, tank, and it was fairly big, and they were actually doing feeding and kinda talking at that, so I got to watch that when I first got in there. They had this other tank that they simulated a shipwreck on. I mean, it was kind of cool the way they kind of had it set, and they kind of had like shipwreck kind of things that the fishes were all swimming around in. And then they had this one, which was a big lionfish display, which was kind of cool. There was quite a few of them in there together. And they also had quite a few eels mixed in. You can see them in this tank. There was eels in quite a few of the. Yeah, this is the really big tank that they're really known for, and it was really kind of cool. It's a complete archway, like you walk through. The bottom like is actually clear so that you can see the fish swimming underneath your feet. It's just completely immersive. It was really, really neat to just see, and there was a lot of different fish, a lot of stingrays and stuff in there. At one point, this one giant fish just decided to rest on top of the tunnel. And so you could just like look up and you'd see like his mouth and everything. It was really, really kind of interesting and weird that he just laid there for like a really long time just on top of the tunnel. They also had what they tried to simulate a tropical rainforest, so that's the next section. And you could see they had like all the mangroves. They had like a water like waterfalls and things like that. There was two bigger tanks with a lot of different like I'm pretty sure they were freshwater water fish just kind of hanging out in there. And as you can see, they had some fun getting ready for Halloween. They had a lot of skeleton type things in a lot of the different tanks. In the tropical section, they had this little bat hanging from the ceiling. As it went on, there was quite a few other exhibits outside of that main one. And they had another tunnel that you could walk through and kind of have like it was a lot smaller, but it had a lot of the fish that you could kind of walk through and see. And they were working on one of the new, exhibits, trying to get stuff ready. They had a big snake, the whole 9 yards in there, and they it was really kinda cool because they had, like, the flooring, to try to match, like, a jungle type forest for type flooring, and then they had kinda like the old ancient brick kinda simulated and stuff, so it was they really tried hard to kinda to make it kinda good. It's just something else that I thought was pretty interesting too. They have a lot of these, like, bubble pop-ups so that kids can kinda go under and then stand up and be underneath the tank and just see everything going around them. And I haven't really seen I've been to quite a few aquariums, and I haven't really seen that before, so it was kinda like a nice little interactive feature for the kids. They also had a very creative use of lights. They, had, like, different creatures and stuff moving along on the floor and on the wall, just kinda made with lights, which was kinda really interesting. Instead of the static displays like you'd normally see, they had these, like, almost like computer screens that can be updated, and they had, like, the picture and the animal that was in the tank. They had one heck of a big jellyfish tank, and it's just I don't know what it is about just watching them swim, but they're just always so peaceful and restful to kind of just watch them kind of floating there, and on the waves. And then at the end, they have a big interactive, tank that where people can pet sea stars and things like that, and it's all supervised, and he'll tell you what to do and everything. And then you kinda look down, and you can, because 'cause you're upstairs at that point, and you can kinda see down to where you first walked in. So all in all, it really wasn't too bad. It was a great way to spend an hour or so while I had to kill a little bit of time before my flight, so, and I enjoyed it.